What you watching?
Good morning, squad. Logan here, mostly superheroes, bright and early, December 28th on a Saturday, watching What If. The second to last episode of season 3 is here. Spoiler alert for What If the Watcher disappeared. And this was the big reveal, folks. If you've been watching What If you saw the promo, this is the big reveal. Storm is here. Storm, X-Men, not just Storm, but wielding Mjolnir, Goddess of Thunder, on the screen in What If, right really from the get-go of this episode. Already given that spoiler alert, coming off fresh on this on a Saturday morning, getting this out for you guys on the podcast bright and early. And we got a big finale tomorrow, Sunday, December 29th, 2024. What if? What went down in this one? What if the Watcher disappeared? That's exactly what happened at the end of the last episode. For meddling and intervening, 3 other Watchers come along and take our main Watcher out of the game, lock him up in some 5th dimension. Some shards of glass that are up there with them, these Watchers, come down to, what do we find? Pretty much the guardians of the multiverse. Peggy Carter, Captain Britain, Captain Margaret Carter, as she calls herself in the episode, has teamed up with a group of folks to create pretty much new guardians of the multiverse. You'll remember the Watcher kind of took Peggy under her wing. They helped each other defeat the bad Doctor Strange, and then the Watcher pretty much let Peggy go out on the multiverse and save worlds. And this is the ramifications from doing that. The other Watchers are done with it. And so on her team, we have a couple people. Storm, who I mentioned, the big reveal. This is so exciting. Storm, that I was just watching in X-Men 97, one of the best shows of the year for sure. The Storm that they brought to life in that show. Storm, of course, voiced by Allison Seeley Smith, who did voice the character in X-Men 97, back to voice the character in What If. This was so cool. It's like no explanation. There isn't any prologue. There's no where did Storm come from. They just drop you in. She's on Peggy Carter's team along with Kahori, who we met in What If Season 2, an original character that came out of What If Season 2, is back here again. She has the power to create portals and create energy blasts. I believe she did get her powers from the Tesseract. And then last but certainly not least, the highlight of the episode, Birdie, welcome to the show, Birdie. You're going to be wondering the whole time, like, who is this? Maybe you put it together right away. I did not. I was thinking, who is this character? She's got legit bird arms, that feathers that come out kind of like mutant style. Then they go back away. Carrie was asking if this was any relation to the Falcon. No. Guess who Birdie is related to, though? Yeah, you guessed it. Howard the Duck and Darcy, their baby that they had in the earlier What If episode this season. You see the little baby at the end that hatches from that egg and has little feathers on it. Birdie has aged. She's like a 25-year-old woman. She wears rocker tees and has a lot of funny one-liners. And had me laughing. A lot of the episode was just, I think a lot of it was the mystery of who is this, and then realizing they have aged up Howard the Duck and Darcy's kid. What are we doing here? Birdie, this full-on character. You didn't have to wait at all for that payoff. She's a full-blown superhero. And what is this team doing? This team of guardians, if you will. They're saving a world from the big Hydra, right? That's always been coming around, and you've seen throughout the What If episodes, is the giant tentacle thing, and it's coming through a portal, and we get this really cool, like, different world of a different Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much, where Nebula is now Yondu. Essentially, she has the fin on her head. There's a Groot there. There's a Korg, and they do save this world. They kick the Hydra back. This is where you get Storm really strutting her stuff with like lightning powers, and then literally being the goddess of thunder with Mjolnir, pretty much single-handedly puts this Hydra to bed. Of course it's a team up in the end, but Storm was the prime focus, really, with the highlight of the episode, and in the very first few minutes. And then they win, and then some shards of glass come down from the Watcher being taken by the other Watchers, and they figure out pretty quickly, you know, that the Watcher's been taken. And Peggy says, "This is my friend. I'm gonna go and help him get rescued." And they go through a different methods of like how to get to this fifth dimension. They have this glass. They try to power it with storms, lightning, doesn't work. And then they get the craziest idea ever. Playing like Avengers foosball, by the way, with like every character being on the foosball table, which was pretty funny. There was like a line in there about Thanos, of course, has the best snap. And the idea comes Infinity Ultron. This guy was the only being ever known to travel to the fifth dimension, which is exactly what he did in season one. And this is so exciting. That was such an epic season. Bringing back Ultron, go to a world where he exists because he's the only being that would have existed there. Get him to help us and take us to this fifth dimension. If he turns on us and he tries to just obliterate us, because that's his whole thing, his ultimate piece, and pretty much just creating silence, then we have leftover pruning devices from the TVA, a line from Storm, I believe. So this is awesome, bringing the TVA in, and like they still can prune a universe if needed. And I think Kahori says this is fine if we prune this universe because he'd be the only being in it. So we kind of have this fail safe if things go wrong. But Peggy doesn't want to lose her friends and decides to go solo. Finds that Ultron sitting dusty in this universe where he has completed his mission and not only destroyed, every planet, but has accomplished his goal and has been sitting there, he says, for eons, just eons and eons. The team does come back and find Peggy and Ultron. So Kahori, Storm, and Birdie, they do make it to Ultron, and they have a little fight sequence with him, but then they show us what really happened. That ultimate Watcher, the one that I think opened the narration in this episode, that was the first time they had changed up the opening narration. It was like a black and white like look, and it was this other Watcher's voice. He came, blasted Peggy, broke her shield, captured her, and then Ultron teams up with the group to power their ship and take them to the fifth dimension, beyond the realm of the known, as Storm puts it. Like, just kind of go into the places we haven't been within What If. We've seen the viewing panel of like the multiverse. Now we're going to this fifth area that's like just where the Watchers pretty much hang out. So big finale coming. We've been told by the folks at Marvel that this will be a big grand finale, and I think that's exactly what you can expect. It's going to tie up all these storylines, and I think you can expect a whole bunch of cameos and a bunch of people that you've seen maybe throughout the season or throughout the show. And this multiverse story is going to come to a close. I don't think that necessarily means What If is over, but they've kind of said What If's over. So enjoy the good while you got it. This is a unique show with awesome animation. Season 3 finale, December 29th. It drops at midnight here in 2024, and can't wait to talk about it with Andy, Scotty Scoop, and tell us what you think at mostlysuperheroes.com. Find the landing page for this episode and go shout it out on our post on social media. Just look up at Mostly Superheroes anywhere you're online and you'll find us. I'm your host, Logan. That's the podcast. We'll talk to you soon. Take it easy. Mostly Superheroes is proud to be funded in part by our sponsors. Mostly Superheroes is funded in part by paying patrons who receive early, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Subscribe at mostlysuperheroes.com/support. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcast. Mostly Superheroes is an independent podcast owned and operated by Carrogan Ventures in St. Louis, Missouri. Hosted by Logan Janis, Andy Hunn, and Scott Swearingen. Brand and creative by Carrie Clark Design. Music by Audionautics. Learn more at audionautics.com. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com.